Our story kicks off with a young woman named Katie. She's beautiful but struggling to make ends meet, working as a waitress just to pay the bills. One day she bumps into her friend Sherry, a model, who tells her she could totally make it in the modeling world too. Katie's ambitious and gorgeous, but Sherry explains she'll need a professional photo portfolio first if she wants real gigs. Katie's discouraged. She knows pro photographers cost serious money, but she thanks Sherry anyway and heads back to work. After her shift, Katie notices an ad posted on the restaurant door, a professional photo shoot. In exchange for her data, no charge. Excited, she takes down the number and heads home. She lives alone, but her neighbor Jason is making noise again, battling a rat infestation. Trying to be helpful, Katie sets up a trap for him to get rid of the rodents. Jason's impressed this pretty girl knows how to catch rats so easily. She laughs and tells him she learned it working on farms. Jason jokes that if her method works, he owes her pizza. Katie smirks and says she's more into cash and jewelry, then heads back inside to cook dinner. Later, she calls the number from the ad. The photographer, Ivan, sounds polite and welcoming. Katie's thrilled until he asks her to send a photo first to see if she's a fit. She's hesitant but takes a selfie and sends it. Moments later, she gets a message with an appointment for the shoot. She's in. Katie's excited. The next day after work, she heads to the address Ivan gave her. She's greeted by Georgie, who calls for his brother Ivan, finishing another shoot. When Ivan's free, he chats with Katie about outfits. She shows him her dresses, he picks one, and tells Georgie to take her to the fitting room. We see Georgie staring at Katie, clearly smitten, while Ivan chews out their other brother Nico for being useless and lazy. Katie isn't interested in Georgie's attention. She asks him to unclasp her necklace so she can get ready for the photos. The shoot starts, and Katie looks stunning. But then Ivan tells her to remove her dress for nude shots. Katie's shocked. She realizes he's offering free shoots because he's secretly photographing women nude to sell the pictures. Nico even pipes up, saying she has to do it to get the photos. Katie refuses, changes back, and storms out. Once home, she breaks down crying. She can't believe what she almost did for a few pictures. The next day, Georgie shows up at her apartment with a flash drive of the photos she took. Katie's surprised and tells him she doesn't want anything from them. Georgie explains he stole the shots from Ivan's computer and deleted them to protect her privacy. Katie feels he's being kind and thanks him. That night, she takes out the trash, locks her door, brushes her teeth, and heads to bed. She wakes up to find Georgie standing over her, filming her with his phone. She yells at him to get out or she'll scream. He tries to calm her, saying he's been into her since the studio. She grabs a taser and shocks him, then runs into the hall screaming for help. Georgie tackles her back inside, locks the door, and beats her unconscious. He gags her and ties her up. Meanwhile, Jason, her neighbor, hears the noise. He bursts into her apartment and is horrified to see her bound. Before he can act, Georgie stabs him repeatedly until he collapses. Georgie then threatens Katie to tell him she likes him or he'll kill her like Jason. Terrified, she complies, but Georgie rapes her brutally anyway. She screams for help, but no one comes. Jason dies watching. When it's over, Georgie has a seizure realizing what he's done and calls his brothers to bail him out. A few hours later, Ivan and Nico arrive, shocked at the mess. They start wiping fingerprints. Ivan decides to frame Jason for everything, but then realizes DNA tests would expose them. Desperate, he forces heroin into Katie to make her forget, then loads her into the car. Katie wakes up groggy and chained in some unknown location. Through the haze, she realizes Nico is assaulting her while she's tied up. She can't fight back. Suddenly, Georgie barges in and starts arguing with his brother, trying to pull him off her. Katie, desperate, whispers that she's thirsty. Instead of water, the pig Nico urinates on her. Georgie snaps and fights him again. Ivan storms in, furious at both of them. He throws them out of the room, grabs a blanket, and covers Katie, telling her to calm down. She just screams and cries, hoping someone will rescue her, but exhaustion finally knocks her out. Hours later, they splash water on her to wake her up. Ivan orders her to clean herself because they're taking her to meet Falco, a high-ranking police officer who protects them. Katie curses them out. Ivan loses his patience and forces more drugs into her to make her docile. Then they all leave, except Georgie, who stays behind to clean her up. He tells her he's going to get a sexy dress for her meeting with Falco. As soon as he leaves, Katie notices a lit window opening onto the street. When Georgie comes back and finds her limp, he unchains her to dress her. She springs up, smashes a bucket over his head, and beats him until he's unconscious. She escapes through the window, running into the street hoping someone will help. But no one understands her language, and everyone backs away. Her luck changes when a police officer named Kirill spots her. She blurts out she's been raped and kidnapped. He's shocked she's American. They're in Bulgaria. He takes her to the police station to help her. Meanwhile, Nico enters the room, tells Georgie to stop messing around, then sees Georgie beaten and the window open. Katie's gone. He calls Ivan in a panic. At the station, Katie begs Kirill to send her back to the US, but he's skeptical. Drug tests show heroin in her system. Angry, she demands to be taken to the American embassy. At that moment, a woman named Anna walks in, presenting herself as a trauma specialist. She takes over the interview, calmly soothing Katie. She says she'll bring Katie to the embassy, but first wants her to eat, change clothes, and come to her shelter for abused women. Anna even shows scars on her own body, claiming she too was raped. Katie, still crying, insists on the embassy. Anna agrees, telling her they'll stop at her house quickly so she can give Katie money and fresh clothes. Katie, thinking Anna's a good person, relaxes. But when they arrive, Anna leads her into a basement and suddenly slaps her across the face. The doctor is really Ivan's mother, who's been posing as a counselor. She's brought Katie back to them. Ivan chains Katie up again and tortures her for escaping. Then Falco arrives, the corrupt police officer. He's holding an electric prod. He shocks her viciously while raping her, ignoring her screams for mercy. Upstairs, Anna listens to music with her doll, tears streaming down her face. When Falco is done, Ivan checks on Katie, finding her bleeding from the abuse. She slaps him in the face, blaming him for everything. Ivan snaps, beats her until she's unconscious, then digs a pit in the basement, shoves her into a box, and buries her alive. Katie cries and prays not to die like this. Suddenly, she hears a strange sound. The box breaks through into a sewer below. She blacks out. Hours later, Katie wakes up in the sewer. She's freezing, covered in filth, but somehow alive. She crawls out of the broken box and, shivering, searches for anything to cover herself. In the trash, she finds an old jacket. Still starving, she notices a wounded pigeon, roasts it over a tiny fire, and eats it just to survive. She keeps moving through the dark tunnels until she comes across a door that leads into a small room under a church. She sneaks in, trying to steal food and clothes, but is caught by Father Diamond. He's startled to see a battered American girl. Katie freezes, unsure what to say. Diamond notices her bruises and understands she's been attacked. He offers to help. Katie refuses, asking him to let her go. He tells her she doesn't need to steal, lets her take what she needs, and even gives her a book. 2 days later, Katie finally makes it to the US Embassy, but just stands outside, unable to go in. Later, back at the church, Father Diamond suggests calling the police for her. She refuses all help and disappears back into the sewers. The next day, she begins stalking the house where she was held. She sneaks in and steals their cash. She tails Georgie, finds the cafe where he hangs out, and disguises herself as a waitress. She serves him coffee, then leaves quickly. Georgie takes a sip, finds Katie's necklace at the bottom, and sees her walking down the street. Shocked she's still alive, he follows her straight into the sewers, where she's set a trap. Katie springs it, ties him up against the wall, and begins torturing him with a knife, forcing him to repeat the creepy lines he made her say. She rubs salt and garlic into his wounds to make him suffer. Meanwhile, Father Diamond meets with Officer Kirill and tells him Katie's story, asking for help. Kirill realizes the girl Diamond describes is the same American who filed a report a week earlier. He starts to suspect Anna, the so-called doctor, and promises to find her. The next night, Katie heads to a nightclub where Nico is partying. She poses as a cocktail waitress, spikes his drink with heavy drugs. Nico downs it like a champ, then spots Katie through his haze, and she vanishes. Freaking out, he runs to the bathroom to clear his head. But Katie's waiting. She kicks him in the face, taunting him about the quality of his own drugs, then drags him into a filthy stall and makes him drink from the toilet. She tortures him in the most brutal ways until he dies. Calmly, she cleans herself up, opens the bathroom for the customers, and walks out like nothing happened. Then she goes back to Georgie and continues torturing him, screaming in his face just like he did to her, stuffing cloth in his mouth and jamming sticks into his wounds until he passes out from pain. The next day, Anna comes home to find her cash shredded and scattered on her bed. Hearing her favorite song playing in the basement, she rushes down, only for Katie to appear and shove her into the pit they once buried Katie in. Anna wakes up chained inside a box. Katie greets her and shows her Georgie hanging, tortured. Anna screams for her son as Katie locks the box, leaving her to die. The next day, Falco is at church with his family, acting like nothing's happened. Suddenly, he spots Katie standing behind him. Stunned, he chases after her, not realizing she's lying in wait. She slams a brick into his head and knocks him out cold. When Falco wakes up, he's strapped to a bed in an abandoned building. Katie's standing over him holding an electric prod. "Recognize this?" she asks. Then she shocks him in the mouth, the chest, everywhere, torturing him exactly the way he tortured her. She even jams live wires into him until he's nothing but a screaming wreck, and then she ends him. Meanwhile, Ivan comes home calling for his mother but finds shredded money everywhere. Alarmed, he heads to the basement and sees the pit they'd buried Katie in wide open. He climbs down with a gun, searching for his family. At the same time, Officer Kirill and Father Diamond are also tracking Katie's movements through the sewers, hoping to reach her before it's too late. Ivan finally finds Georgie, tortured beyond recognition, and then Katie ambushes him with a crowbar. When he wakes up, he's bound hand and foot. Katie goes to work on him, slicing his skin and destroying him piece by piece. He screams, and from inside the box, Anna yells that she's not really his mother. Their father had raped her and forced her into this life. She'd been grooming girls for prostitution ever since. Katie opens the box just enough to make Anna watch as she tortures Ivan, forcing her to feel the pain of all the girls she helped exploit. Anna begs for mercy. Katie tells her she's just delivering the pain of every victim back to her. Then she locks the box again and keeps tearing into Ivan until he's a ruined shell. Suddenly, Officer Kirill appears, gun drawn, stunned at the scene of carnage. He orders Katie to surrender. She freezes, and that's when Ivan lunges, trying to strangle her with his last bit of strength. Kirill fires, killing Ivan on the spot. He opens the box and finds Anna inside, trembling from terror. The next day, we see Katie standing outside the American embassy. She's not smiling in triumph, she's just quietly relieved. She's taken back everything they stole from her with her own hands. Fade to black. And that, my friend, is the brutal story of I Spit on Your Grave 2, 2013. If you found this recap useful, hit that like and share button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakdown.